I know it won't be easy for me, but think about how hard it is for them. At your age, I would never have been able to handle this. That is really cool of you to do this. Okay, this isn't about cool. For example, the idea of hospice is a different way to get medical care. He was great as Simba in The Lion King and as Randy on Home Improvement. But Jonathan Taylor Thomas left Hollywood in 1998 and never came back. Why? He was in pain without saying a word, terrible headaches while shooting. He had panic attacks and personal problems that almost broke him because he was popular. After 25 years, we finally understand why America's favorite teen star decided to go missing. Jonathan Taylor Weiss was born as Jonathan Taylor Thomas, was born in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania on September 8, 1981. Stephen Weiss and Claudine Gonsalves had no idea that their son would become one of the biggest teen stars of the 1990s. He chose to change his name when he started playing. He kept his first and middle names, but added Thomas, which was his brother's given name. It wasn't just a stage name, it was a mix of his personal and professional identity. It helped him stay close to his family and stand out in Hollywood. His early years were full of changes. He moved from Pennsylvania to Sacramento with his family when he was 4 years old. They moved again, this time to Los Angeles, after a few years. With each step, he got closer to the show business. Being able to change may have helped him later in life because he lived in many places when he was young. He did something that most kids his age wouldn't even think about. He gave up meat and dairy. He didn't do what everyone else did or follow a trend. Animal rights were important to him, so he did it. That thought got stronger over time. He wouldn't use goods that were tested on animals and stayed true to his morals, even when Hollywood put pressure on him to do otherwise. His mother may have made him aware of social problems. She helped people who didn't have much, and she often took him to work events. He saw things that most kids his age didn't. He learned how to be responsible, be thankful, and make choices that counted. His choice to be a vegetarian wasn't just about food. Being honest about how he lived his life was important to him. The way he felt about animal rights made him stand out. Back in the 1990s, young stars didn't talk much about things like ethical shopping. Thomas did more than just talk about it, though. He went through it. Fans liked not only how he played roles, but also the decisions he made. He wasn't just a teen star, he was a person with strong beliefs. His life changed again in 1991. His parents split up. He moved to Los Angeles with his mother and bigger brother when he was 10 years old. It was a tough change, but it brought him closer to new chances. He was already having a great career, and being in Hollywood helped him keep going. Thomas had a lot of people who cared about him, even though he was going through a tough breakup. His mother took care of his job and kept him grounded. But his uncle Jeff Weiss was also very important in his life. Jeff wrote plays and acted in movies. He was more than just a family member, he was a teacher. He showed Thomas that acting was more than just reading lines. He taught him how to tell stories and how to do the stuff that people saw on TV and movies. Thomas had something that many kid actors didn't have, a family member who worked in the business. It was someone who knew about the business and could help him through it. Thomas may have played his parts with more depth than most kids his age because of his uncle's impact. The way he played roles made them seem real, even in jokes. That wasn't just a role for him. He made it better by adding something. Jonathan Taylor Thomas was young when he began. He was already modeling for paper ads in Sacramento, California when he was 7 years old. That got him TV ads, where his ease and natural charm really shone. He wasn't just another kid selling food. People took notice of what made him unique. In 1988, one of his first big ads was for Kellogg's product 19. After 2 years, he got a Burger King ad with Thora Birch. There were also ads for Vivident gum and Canon camcorders that he did. He got better at being in front of the camera with each commercial, plus more chances to learn how the business worked. He had already built a strong base by the time he was 8. Then he got his first real TV part. He played Kevin Brady in The Bradys, a show that came after The Brady Bunch in 1990. The project looked like it could work out well. That third child is often the funniest because he wants to be the center of attention, bringing back old characters from the first show. But it didn't make sense. The show was only on for 6 episodes before it was ended. Even though it wasn't the big break he had hoped for, it was still a big step. At that time, he was given the name Jonathan Weiss, which is his real name. He worked with TV pros like Florence Henderson and Robert Reed and learned skills that would help him later. Even though the show didn't last long, the experience was very helpful. He got a taste of what it was like to be on a TV show. That first event led to something much bigger. He tried out for Home Improvement in 1991 and got the part of Randy Taylor. It was such a big hit that it ran for 8 seasons, which made him one of the most famous young stars of the decade. He got the part because he looked a lot like Tim Allen, but it was his quick wit and natural talk that made him a fan favorite. Thomas was in 177 episodes of the show, which ran from 1991 to 1999. People liked him as a figure because he was more than just funny. Randy wasn't like every other kid from a TV show. He asked things about them. He didn't agree with his dad's old-fashioned ideas. "Come on in, this is my new boss. This is John Baker. Hello, this is Vanessa. Hey there, this is Mike Baxter." Hey, Randy seemed to know someone. He knew what was right and wrong and had a smart mind. That made him really stand out, and it was one of the best parts of the show. He worked hard even though he was only 10 years old. He managed to go to school and make movies at the same time, which was amazing but also tiring. He would finally give up acting because of that stress. Jonathan Taylor Thomas was more than just an actor when he was at the top of his game. He was a big deal. Every month, magazines like Bop and Tiger Beat put him on the cover. His messy blonde hair and blue eyes made him one of the most popular teen stars of the 2000s. Fans called him JTT. It wasn't just how they looked, though. He knew a lot. He thought about things. He talked about keeping grounded and doing good things with his fame in interviews. He wasn't just looking for attention. He meant to say the right thing. He did a lot more than just fix up houses for a living. He was in movies that were good for families, like I'll Be Home for Christmas, Man of the House, and Tom and Huck. He became even more well-known because of these parts, but they also cost him something. By the late 1990s, he was sick of being in the news all the time. He didn't like being called JTT. When reporters got too close to him, he didn't like it. Being a teen hero started to feel like too much pressure. It wasn't easy to balance Hollywood and school. It wasn't just going to class and doing well. He started to feel sick because of the long hours and worry. He often filmed whole shows while dealing with severe headaches because he had terrible migraines. He told people in 1994, "I can't tell you how many shows I've done with full-blown migraine headaches." He didn't stop. He kept things businesslike. Though it was getting tougher, he made the choice to leave Home Improvement in 1998. Even though he was only 17, he had worked non-stop for almost 10 years. He was looking for something different. His goal was to live a normal life. Some group members didn't like that he was leaving, and fans were shocked. But it was the right thing to do for Thomas. Afterward, he said, "I would have died young if I had stayed at the show and tried to do academically what I'm doing now." Besides that, Jonathan Taylor Thomas was only 12 years old when he did the role of Simba the Lion Cub in Disney's The Lion King. In The Lion King, he did the voice of young Simba. For the past 6 seasons, he's been Randy on Home Improvement. From July 2, you can see him in the new movie Wild America. Let's look. He was already well known for his role as Randy Taylor on Home Improvement, but this part made his career even bigger. The movie was a huge hit, making almost $1 billion and winning 2 Academy Awards. It was more than just a job for Thomas. One of Disney's most loved figures could come to life. Disney looked for months to find the right voice. They needed someone who could show how energetic, curious, and playful Simba was. There were a lot of kid actors who tried out, but Thomas stood out. He seemed sure of himself, which made Simba feel like a real person and not just a cartoon figure. He was the best choice because his voice had the right amount of innocence and attitude. It took more than a year to record the lines. Thomas was busy with Home Improvements, so Disney had to make plans around his. He even had some of his lines recorded on the show's set. A lot of the time, he had to perform by himself, thinking about how the other actors would react. He would sometimes say their lines himself to make it seem more normal. This made him act in a way that seemed real. His facial movements and body language were also recorded so that animators could use parts of his personality to make Simba more like him. His smirk became one of the most recognized things about Simba. Thomas got along with Simba in ways that made the show even better. Simba was brave, smart, and independent, just like his Home Improvement figure. Being used to it helped him sound normal in every scene. His voice made Simba's happiness, fear, and sadness seem real, especially when Simba finds Mufasa after the crowd has run away. The movie was animated, but Thomas gave it a great dramatic depth that made it stand out. The Lion King was more than just a well-liked movie. It spread like wildfire through culture. Millions of copies of the music were sold. People all over the world could relate to its story about identity and duty. Even after all these years, Thomas's voice is a big part of why it's still one of Disney's most beloved movies. The way he played Simba changed how people saw the character, making him seem real and likable. Thomas kept doing voice work after The Lion King. A live-action and animation movie called The Adventures of Pinocchio came out in 1996 with him as Pinocchio. The movie changed the plot of the old story. His voice made the wooden doll look and sound like a boy who wants to become a real boy. It proved he was more than just a kid star.